Question number 4. Jana Foster is the general manager for the new restaurant in the Champos Restaurants chain. This new facility is located in a beachfront resort town, and sales there are excellent. The problem, according to Jana's regional manager, is that the new operation is consistently operating at a beverage cost percentage higher than the company average. Jana's regional manager has flown to Jana's town to see why her beverage cost percentage is too high. The prices set by the company for all restaurants are $3 for beer, $3.50 for wine, $5 for spirits, and $7 for frozen specialty drinks. Let's help her compare her beverage cost percentages with the following company averages. All right, so let's take a look here. We've got our product mix. This is our menu mix. This means based on, so if we add this up, should be 100%. All right, that means they anticipate 30% of the guests order beer, 20% wine, 30% spirits, and 20% frozen specialty drinks. All right, so let's get our beverage cost, and we get our beverage cost by taking our cost of beverages, and we divide that by our beverage sales. All right, same thing for wine. We take our cost of beverages, and we divide that by our beverage sales. All right, we can use that formula for the entire column here. All right, let's go ahead. Let's sum up the cost of beverages. And let's also sum up our beverage sales. So we see here the company averages a beverage cost 24.5%. Okay, so that takes into account the amount of beer, wine, spirits, and frozen drinks that you sell, and each of them have a different beverage cost percentage. Okay, so let's take a look at Jana's. Okay, so her product mix already looks a little bit different than the company averages, but let's go ahead. Let's calculate our beverage cost on all of these. All right, so we can copy this here. And we see all of those number signs there. Just means there's not enough room. These are coming in as percentages, so we're going to take this and we are going to change it. That is actually going to be a currency, and this one will be a currency as well. All right, so let's look at our beverage cost. All right, so again, we take our cost of beverages and we divide it by our beverage sales. All right, so we see it's at 20%. That is right in line with our beer, all right, with the company average. Okay, so she's right on there with her beer. We'll take a look at our wine too. We take our cost of our wine, we divide it by our wine sales, and that's 25%. Still comparing it to the company average, 25%. Okay, so she's operating the way that she should. All right, spirits, same thing. We're going to take our cost of beverages, divide it by our beverage sales, 25% in comparison with the company average, still the same. Spirits, let's see, maybe this one's off. And it's still at 30%. Okay, so we look at all of her beverage cost percentages, and these are all in line. Now let's go ahead and let's take our cost of beverages, and we're going to divide them by our beverage sales. All right, so she comes out to a total bar cost of 27.5%. Okay, despite the fact that she is hitting her marks on all of her beverage cost numbers, she's hitting her targets. We look here and we see her product mix is different than the product mix of her regular stores. Okay, so it's said that she's a beachfront property, right? And so there's no better place to have a drink with a umbrella in it that's frozen than on the beach. And so when we look at the total number of frozen specialty drinks that she's selling, it's significantly different than a regular, like roadside location. So that's causing, because she's selling that much, that's going to change her, it's going to change her beverage cost percent there. Okay. So when her boss comes to her, when a regional manager says, why are your costs so much higher? She can look at it and say, okay, yeah, my cost percentage is higher, but I'm hitting all my marks with my targets on my regular beverage cost. It's that I am selling these spirits. My menu mix is different. And honestly, when you take a look at it, if we look at our costs here, okay, if we sell beer, $3 a beer, $3.50 for wine, $5 for spirits, and $7 for frozen specialty drinks. Okay, when we look at our contribution as far as money in the bank on these different products, this is what she wants to sell. She wants to sell those spirits, okay? Even though her percentage is higher, her money in the bank is a lot more than the regular average, and so she can definitely defend her regular cost. And if this is her constant menu mix, this should be her target. And if they open any other locations that are in the same situation as hers, that should be the target as well. All right, number 5. Fast Eddie Green operates a restaurant in the casino town of Toluna. He's checking over the work of his assistant manager who has been newly hired. One of the jobs of the assistant manager is to complete the daily 6-column food cost estimate. Fast Eddie finds that although the purchases and sale data are there for the first 10 days for the accounting period, the form has not been completed. All right, let's complete the form so that he can go home. All right, so let's take a look at our purchases here. On January 1st, what has he purchased to date? Looks like $1,645.80. Now, if we want to find out what we've purchased to date, we're going to add the first and the second together. Okay, so we're going to take our to date, we're going to add it to today's purchases. We're going to do that again. We're going to add to date plus today's purchases. And we should be able to just copy this whole column here. All right, and if we want to double check our numbers, we will look at today's purchases here. We will add them all up. So they should be the same, which they are. Great. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing for our sales. Sales to date is what we did today because we're just starting this. Then we look at the second and we take today's sales. We're going to add it to our sales to date. Again, we can copy this formula for our entire column. And then we'll again just double check to make sure that these match up, which they do. Okay, then we want to look at our cost percentage. All right. So we're going to take today's cost percentage. We're going to take our purchases. We're going to divide that by, actually, we're going to take today's purchases, divide it by today's sales. We'll do that for this whole column. Today's purchases divided by today's sales. And we can use this formula for the whole column. Okay, we see here we have 0 cost percentage. That's because we didn't make any purchases on the 7th, but we did have the sales. So we used the items that we had been purchasing. We didn't have to make any. All right. Then let's look at it to date. Okay, we'll take our purchases to date. We'll divide them by our sales to date. So we see it lines up for the first day. Let's take a look at the next day. Take our purchases, divide by our sales. All right, it doesn't add up, but that's okay because we're adding more purchases. It's our to date. Okay, so you have things that were purchased on different days that you're selling on a different day. Okay, so we can use this formula for the entire column, and we can see it progressively improves, right? And it does line up. Okay. So we see here towards later in this 10-day period, we start using products that we have purchased from other days. All right, question number 6. In this one, we are talking about AP weight versus EP weight. Okay, we remember that AP means as purchased, and then EP is your edible portion. All right, so as Elaine is the director of the food service at a large retirement center, and she's asked Jerry, one of her managers, to investigate the cost involved in adding a carving station to the regular Sunday brunch menu. Jerry is trying to decide which carved meats he should serve. He must first determine the EP costs, edible portion costs, and the fields of various kinds of meat to help him calculate the EP cost and the yield of an inside round of beef. All right. So he is going to do a test here. All right. So he is testing with 20 pounds. All right. And he is paying $6 per pound as purchased. Okay. And that is inside round here. All right, so we see he starts with 20 pounds as purchased. He ends up with 12.12 pounds. That is an edible portion. Okay, so where did we lose it? Okay, so let's start with our total ounces here. So 20 pounds, we're going to multiply that by 16 because there's 16 ounces in a pound. All right, we're starting with 320. Okay, we can do the total ounces. We'll take our pounds, and if we want to create a formula for that, we will go ahead. We will take our pounds. Hold on, let me start over here. So we're going to take our B9, and we will go ahead and multiply that times 16, and then we will add it to our, that should be B19. We're going to add that to our ounces. All right. So if we look and we see our formula here, which I know I went through too many steps to get it right, but that's okay. We take our total pounds, B19, we multiply it by 16 because there's 16 ounces in a pound, and then we add it to our total ounces. All right. So we can use this formula for the whole column here. Okay, this one we don't need. All right, so fat loss. So we started with 320 ounces. We lost 50 pounds to fat. Okay, so they've carved it off, it's baked off. I don't know what happened. It's been trimmed, right? Bone loss. Okay, we had to take, it was a big round of beef. It had like a big bone in it. You can't eat that. So they took that out and they threw that away, and that was 36 ounces. Then when we cooked it off, a lot of that moisture that was in the product evaporated. So we lost weight. We lost 28 ounces when we cooked it. And then as far as carving loss, if there's an error or if there's just portions that, maybe there's like a burnt end or a part that's a little more well done, or something's going to happen when you carve that product and you're going to lose a little bit. So let's see what we lost in production. We'll go ahead and we're going to add up our fat loss, our bone loss, our cooking loss, and our carving loss. And we have lost 126 ounces of the 32 ounces we started with. So let's see here. We've got our AP weight. We're going to divide that by our starting weight. All right. We'll go ahead and we'll make that an absolute cell if we're trying to determine our percent of loss here. So we'll go ahead and we should be able to use this formula. Yes, and we can. All right, so we see again 16.9% lost to fat, or fat that was cut off. 11.3 was bone. We lost 8.8% cooking and 2.5 carving. Okay, so total production lost of 39.4%, which leaves us with an edible portion left of 60.6. All right, so we see here our edible portion is 60.6. That's our yield, okay? So if we want to get our EP cost per pound, we're going to take our price per pound, and then we are going to, let's go to our chart. Let's look and see if we want to get our EP cost per pound. We're going to take our AP price per pound, which is at $6. We're going to divide it by our product yield, okay? So we'll go back. We're going to divide that by our product yield. and we get $9.90 per pound. Okay, so we purchased it for $6 a pound. It turns out it's actually going to cost us $9.90 per pound after everything's done to it to make it edible for us. Again, I'll stop the video here and I'll see you back for 7, 8, and 9.